Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. I also have a few self-study courses about manifesting your specific person. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about something that you will very, very rarely, if ever, hear from manifesting coaches. It's about the process of manifesting, what you can expect when you embark on this journey, and what a lot of coaches tend to oversimplify or simply just gloss over. So this is what I'll be discussing in today's video. Stay tuned. So something that I find a lot of coaches neglect to mention, or they neglect to discuss it, or they don't want to discuss it perhaps, is that conscious manifesting is an ongoing process. It's not just something that you do just to get something. It has much more to do with who you become in the process, who you become in this journey. And from that state and from that renewed energy, from that new perspective and that new self that you are creating, you are now bringing forth a new reality for yourself. It is not what you do. It is who you are and who you become that manifests your new reality, your new stories, and at the end of the day, your new life. Now, one other thing that most manifesting coaches neglect to mention, which I think is a very important thing and it's a very important point, is that progress when you embark on this manifesting journey is never entirely linear. That means that it's not a process where you get from A to B to C in a very smooth, very linear fashion, where you just seamlessly progress from state A to state B to state C and so on. Now, the interesting part here is that you actually, over time, do progress like that. You do progress from point A to point B to point C and so on. But that is usually seen over time. If, for example, you look back to 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, it is not something that you will necessarily see in your day-to-day, because one day you might be in a very good state, you might be in a very good mood, and then the next day you might feel down again, you might be full of doubts, you might be bombarded by opposing thoughts, and so on. So it's not necessarily that you move from good to better to best, although that does happen over time. As you expand your consciousness continuously, that is a lifelong process. But in the shorter term, it doesn't look like that and it doesn't feel like that. You might literally feel like you have 1 or 2 or 3 days that are amazing, and then you go 1 or 2 days where you're not feeling very well. This is all very normal. However, what you learn to do and to perfect as a conscious manifestor, and again, that happens over time with a lot of practice and a lot of patience, is to not react so much to the 3D, is to not let the 3D get under your skin so much. You learn to stay calmer when it comes to circumstances. It doesn't mean that they don't affect you at all, but you train yourself in such a way that your circumstances start to affect you less and less, and you start giving them less and less power. So it's not like you're never going to waver. It's not like you're never going to have opposing thoughts anymore. Let me tell you, if that is your expectation, you had better modify your expectations now, because I can tell you, even I, as a coach, doing this for years on a daily basis, I still get opposing thoughts on almost a daily basis. The opposing thoughts never go away. The opposing states never go away, never completely. Over some time, they do become easier to manage. They do become easier to overcome. They do become easier not to give power to. Yes, for sure. I can assure you this is the case from my personal experience. But they never completely go away. I mean, we're all still human beings. We all still tie to our ego mind and to our lower self. Even I, as a coach, fall into the 3D trap all the time, still. And I can assure you, every other coach out there is exactly the same. But what tends to happen over time with practice and with training your mind to view reality in a different way, and with practicing the law and seeing the results and building your faith in the law in this way, is that you learn to recognize those states that don't align with who you want to be and what you want. And so you are much quicker to put them under control. You are much quicker to put yourself back on track and you actually don't react to them anymore. Or if you do react, the reaction is nothing like it would have been years ago, for example, when you were in your old self. So this is what conscious manifesting does for you, but it is a process. It is something you cultivate within yourself. It is something you train yourself into doing. It is something that might not yield a huge difference day to day, but if you look back 3 months, 6 months, a year ago, you will notice huge differences in yourself. And so, unfortunately, those who get into conscious manifesting looking for some quick gratification, okay, I'm going to say 5 affirmations and I'm going to say them 100 times a day and then I'm going to get what I want. It's not that they necessarily won't get what they want. They might very well get what they want. But usually, in my experience and with what I have observed over and over again, this desire might manifest and then go away as quickly as it came. Why? Because the dominant state hasn't changed. The dominant energy hasn't changed. The dominant perception hasn't changed. Who the person is hasn't changed. How the person views their reality hasn't changed. How the person views themselves hasn't changed. And these are, you guys, the changes that you make over time and with your inner work to allow you to build a new self, which is then going to attract and create and bring forth a new reality. So while it's simple, the process is simple, the steps are simple, they're not necessarily easy because we're still human beings, we're still tied to our ego self, we're still tied to our ego mind, we're still tied to the evidence of our senses and to what the 3D is showing us. We're still conditioned to believe that the 3D is the one and only reality and everything else is wishful thinking and a fantasy. So with all these things to work through, it tends to be a process. It tends to take a little bit of time. And if you're actually really serious about it, you're going to make it a lifelong process. You're going to make it a lifestyle. And the reason for that is because the 3D always reflects who you dominantly are within. If you don't make conscious manifesting a lifestyle, you will continue to manifest, but you will continue to manifest unconsciously, like most everyone else does. And so, unfortunately, a lot of coaches make it sound like it's a linear process. You're going to get from A to B to C, then you're going to get what you want. I myself might be guilty of that, and there's a reason we present it this way because it's the simpler way to present things. But the reality is, this is a process for everyone. All of us have our challenges. All of us have our limiting beliefs. All of us have our limiting assumptions. All of us have things in the 3D that really trigger us. All of us have things that we need to overcome in terms of beliefs, in terms of assumptions, in terms of fears, in terms of insecurities, and so on. Most of us also have some subconscious patterns that we accepted since childhood or since our early years or since our younger years. And they've been playing out in our life on autopilot. So our job now as conscious manifestors is to distinguish them, to recognize them, to see through them, and then consciously start to change them. So this is, you guys, what a lot of coaches don't tell you, actually what most coaches don't tell you, that we all fail at times, we all get triggered at times, we all fall into the 3D trap at times, including us coaches, all of us, I can assure you, and that this conscious manifesting is a new lifestyle that is a process. It's a process to achieve that self-mastery. It's a process to achieve that mastery of your thoughts, your feelings, your states, to be able to call states on demand. All of this takes time, and the process is not linear. You will have wavering in the process. You will have days when you're feeling completely off. And that's okay, as long as you continue to persist, as long as you continue with your inner work, as long as you continue to put your awareness to what your dominant state is at each given moment, you will do it and you will succeed. And before you know it, you will have become a different person and a different self, and that will then create your new reality. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.